out the back, the morning of the first sea trial. Birk's finishing up our flagpole, so we need our flagpole to be legal. So I'll show you where that's going. Out the back of the boat. Let's come off on an angle. This loop, stainless loop thing that goes up there, we're going to get a flagpole that comes up on an angle, and then the New Zealand flag is going to be up here. It's actually a red ensign, so it's not a blue flag. And then Australian courtesy flag, starboard spreader up there. So it's always, courtesy flag's always going to be higher than your country of registration. So New Zealand registration flag will be at the back, it'll be relatively low down, and then that's where we will fly our courtesy flag depending on the country we're in. And at the moment, BougeRV is sponsoring Brupeg, so we have a sponsor's flag up there as well. Brupeg was a sunken fishing trawler that was stripped out and ready for the scrapyard. She's just completed a 10-year rebuild that's brought her back to life. With the help of volunteers and funded by our Patreons, community and subscribers, she'll be crewed by passionate people from around the world. If you'd like to be involved and support the project, please consider joining us on Patreon or subscribe to the channel. There's a link in the description below. Quick polish with the flap wheel to get the stainless weld ready, and then TIG weld time. Yeah, go. It's good. Nice, don't want to get caught on anything, it's good.
It's quite high.
Yeah. As part of the first sea trial, we want to get the anchor system up and running prior to going to sea. There's a couple of reasons for this. One, if the engine stops for whatever reason, we want to be able to drop anchor and then obviously deal with whatever that problem is whilst we're out there. And two, we actually need to go on anchor today as part of this trial. We can only go in and out of this berth at high tide. We hit the ground otherwise. So we're going to be leaving as the tide's going down. We're going to go out and do our trials, etc. whilst the tide's turning, and then before the tide comes in we have to wait a wee bit. So we're going to be putting on anchor, having lunch out there and sort of doing a bit of a check over of the boat, getting everything ready, and then when the tide is right we're going to pull the anchor and bring her back in. Getting a heavy anchor off the deck of the boat, we lift it up with a very thin piece of string over the side of the boat like this. At this point it's connected using the anchor chain, so we've brought the anchor chain around the side. Then using a knife or a pair of scissors, cut the thin string in a manly way obviously. Then you're ready to just lift it up using your anchor winch into the right position. It's really important when you're doing this to try and collect as much mud from the seabed and put it on the front deck of your boat.
Did you put all the chain out?
No, only about 5 metres or so. Just enough to just hit the drop on the chain. You know?
Oh, that's a dirty, muddy bottom, eh?
Yeah, yeah. This is the first time any of us had ever seen Brupeg's hydraulic anchor winch pull up our homemade anchor. It was a pretty cool moment for us. Yeah, there we go. That should be pretty tight there.
Yeah.
Once these guys are gone, are you happy to press off? They'll probably be similar depth to us.
Depends on the keel.
Oh, if they've got a swing keel, yeah, true.
Coming in at low tide, I'd say they're low, you know.
Yeah.
High.
I would guess it's probably like a twin keel.
Right. We could wait 2 seconds to see them out of the water. And my plan to reverse back in is set the camera up so I've literally got a reversing camera so I can see really clearly the back of the boat quite low down. I'm going to have a person on either side calling clearance and then counting me.
But the issue is that if you can reverse.
So that's a really important point Jess has just brought up. The issue is if I can reverse. So it's quite common in boats to have absolutely no steering in reverse, unlike a car where you can just steer it as you need. In a boat, oftentimes you will have possibly steering one way and absolutely none the other way, or sometimes you'll have no steering whatsoever. Brupeg is the latter. It has no steering whatsoever when it comes in reverse, so you have to point it where you want it and then hope it's going to stay in a straight line. We later found out that by using bursts of forward throttle and opposite lock rudder, we were able to direct the back end of the boat where we wanted it to go, but we didn't know that at this time. Yeah, well, I'm going to test it out. Yeah, we'll come in at high tide and I'll test that out there. So I'll learn the reversing and the prop walk out in the channel where it doesn't matter. So we'll do a whole bunch of reversing tests out there probably. You happy with that? Okay. So you're up the front ropes. Yep. Birk, you're at the back with the rear ropes and the shore power.
Yeah.
So I'll give the guys
just going to do that immediately.
Yeah.
as soon as they head out.
Great.
Doug, one thing when you do up at the front, you're probably going to step in the muddy bits.
Yep.
Before you head down, there's a wreck. Just try to wipe a bit off.
Okay. So
And
you're
don't
saying
slip.
it more as dirt or
Yeah.
slip as it?
It's mud.
Proper
Proper mud.
Right.
Yeah, real easy to slip.
Okay. So you guys all comfortable with what we're doing?
Yep.
Every day, Brupeg is getting closer to being an ocean-capable research boat that we want to donate sea time to researchers and other organisations around the world that are doing awesome stuff. We can't do any of this without the support of our Patreons and our members. If you've been considering joining us and helping support our work and helping to donate this boat, its crew and its capabilities to these amazing organisations, we'd love to have you on board. We can't do any of this without you. If you're still on the fence about supporting us on Patreon or becoming a member, we'd love to have you to subscribe to the channel. Join us each week and we can show you what it takes to build an ocean-capable research boat as we take you around the world. We'd love to have you guys with us. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, my gorgeous girl. Hello, my gorgeous girl. You gotta move, my darling. You still don't have your birds. Aww.
Yeah, can you do the port rear line? Doug, when you're free, can we do starboard forward? Birk, starboard rear. Yeah, drop that line, Duncan. Are you ready, Jess? Copy that. No, everyone's good at this stage. Duncan's just pulling in the lines. Yeah, can you come up halfway up the port side and push on the pile on the port hand side? Yes. Okay, thank you, no worries. Going forward. Duncan, can you clear the port side of the wing? Thanks, going forward. We clear? Yeah, we're very close, 0.2 metre right now. Point 1. Point 2. I'm just going to go straight to the channel for starters and then maybe turn right. 0.4 of a metre, we're getting deeper. That little nudge of the throttle took us from 2.9 knots, which is idle setting, up to 5 knots.
Baby, good girl. Good girl, baby, it's okay. Good girl. Where are you going? Are you going to the anchor spot first?
I'm just going out to the channel, turning right, so we've got some room.
Where's Duncan?
Duncan on the bow.
Okay.
Just getting us some space from all the boats and everything.
Feeling okay?
Everything's great. We're 5 metres of water.
Gut feeling?
Hey,
Gut feeling?
gut feeling's fine. I'm just getting used to things. There's a lot of air in the hydraulics, so the steering's a bit.
Yeah, I noticed, eh?
Make it fun.
Yeah. There's a lot of noise over here in the hydraulics up here. Have you checked for leaks? You're just thinking it's air.
I believe so. I don't know considering what's not.
It's making a lot of hissing sounds.
That's okay, as long as it's not leaking. 7.3 metres. As long as it's left the harbour. We've got nearly 8 metres of water. Sorry, say again.
Seems like a perfect time to shout out to our sponsor BougeRV. If you're looking for awesome solar panels, these things have been amazing. Check them out for yourself, there's a link in the description below.
Thanks. Just going to bring the boat up to 6 knots. We're sitting at 5.
Stroll downtown this evening when I heard music echo through the night. The same old songs that I heard the night before. So I started running so I wouldn't be too late. I didn't think that I would ever see your face again.
So bizarre. Yes.
What I didn't realise at this point was the nut holding the steering wheel on had come loose and the steering wheel was doing nothing.
I'm just going to point into the wind.
Hey, Dane.
Just landing the drone.
Yeah, no worries. I'm at about 7.9 metres here, under keel.
We're thinking of anchoring here, actually, just roughly where you are.
Yeah, maybe up a bit more outbound so you don't come back to the shore a bit. But yeah, I'm at about 8 metres here, so.
Okay, I'll go ahead of you and anchor up.
Got a drag race?
Oh, you'll win.
No worries, alright, I'll keep at your way. When you're anchored up, I'll even come up behind you when you're setting the sea in, and I'll tuck a line and just sit off behind you if that's alright.
Sounds good.
Oh, excellent.
I'll stop the boat, allow the anchor to free fall, like gently free fall it down, and then I'll reverse up. Good for the anchor.
To lower the anchor on Brupeg, there's a fast way and a slow way. This is the fast way. Slow way is using hydraulics. The fast way is using the brake to feather the amount of chain you let out. We didn't realise it at the time, but about here we received an email from AMSA, the Australian Maritime Safety Authority. A kind member of the public had tipped them off that Brupeg was steaming around without the correct registration and was therefore illegal. None of this was actually true. Brupeg is a registered New Zealand ship and the number is clearly displayed on the back end of the boat, but it gives you a really good insight into what it's like running a YouTube channel, the stuff that happens behind the scenes when people get jealous and just decide they want to hurt someone. Done! So I've just shut the engine down and done a walkthrough. There's some oil in the bilge, and what that came from was this filter housing wasn't quite tight enough. That's basically the only fault that I can find in the whole thing. So we've got, we're getting nice pressure, all the bolts are obviously maintaining torque as they should. There's no weird leaks. Our grease in the prop shaft is heated up, so you can see there's grease coming out, which is a good sign, we want that. On this side, so I've just done an oil check. We're halfway between high and low, so I'll put a little bit more oil in. Gearbox is above low, but not far above low, so I'll put a bit more oil in that as well. I don't think that's actually the dripping. I think there's very minimal loss went into the dripping. I think that's more just filling up all the pipes and everything like that, because we actually used the gearbox properly for once, so I think that's what's going on there. But other than that, it's pretty good. I can't find anything else that's at fault with it at this stage. We pulled the sensor out of here. We just had too many problems with it, so we're now pulling 2 feeds off the alternator, 2 RPM feeds. So we've got this one here, and then we've got the one that goes up to the bridge. Yeah, so a bit more work to do. Hell of a lot more tidying before we go out of completely calm waters. We're in bog still, flat calm waters. We're going to stay there for a while. We transferred some fuel across, so we've got 600 litres in that tank, and maybe 1,500, 1,800 litres in that tank. We're running off one tank at the moment, so we just transferred that one across. But I think we're good. First impressions, pretty happy with the whole system. Everything seems to be working really well. A few minor oil leaks, which is kind of normal when you commission a whole bunch of systems that you don't know how they're going to interact. As part of taking Brupeg out on her first sea trial, our friend Pat took his tug Salonica out with us. This is a ex-BHP line boat, so it's slightly smaller than Brupeg, but it has the same engine, very similar gearbox. So it's a great analogue for systems as well as, you know, what these boats can and can't do sort of thing. We decided to tie up together and raft up for lunch, and this was both boats hanging off Brupeg's anchor. So Brupeg weighs 48 tonnes and Salonica weighs close to 40 tonnes. So we had almost 90 tonnes hanging off the back of Brupeg's homemade anchor. The guys are heading off. So Duncan is heading back to his place. So it's, what are we, Tuesday now? He's going to be back on Friday. So what, 3 or 4 days, 3 days away, something?
Yeah, 3 days.
Birk.
An onboard monitoring system.
Yeah.
See ya.
Dinghy net.
I should see you Thursday.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Thursday night. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this travel's quite nice. Look at that. It's a lovely spot right at the front there.
It is a.
Yeah, it's comfortable actually. You should get some cushions up there. Proper expedition boat.
Just looked at the back. There's a tiny midget boat. That guy, tiny little thing, turning back up at full speed. He'll be going flat out, trying to stay dry. So I think we're going to be building a deck wash system fairly soon. When Birk released the anchor, half of that mud went across his face. Just go around doing our checks. So we've got, main ones for us are coolant. Make sure we've got plenty of water, heaps of water, cool.
Didn't lose anything.
Nice, so yeah, we've bled the system here. This is the highest point of the engine pretty much, so we've bled the system here. and we're not getting any more water, like coolant loss in that header tank, so we're pretty confident we've got everything now. We've used a bit of oil on the gearbox, but there's two reasons for that. One is using it, we would have filled up all the galleries and stuff that wouldn't normally get used, and also we had a little bit of a leak on this one here. The filter housing itself wasn't tight enough, so you haven't lost a lot of oil. You can see it in the bilge there, just a smidge, but enough just that we want to top it up. So we're going to do that now, top up with some SA30 into the gearbox, and we'll do the oil check, and then we're good to start up again. So after sitting at anchor for a few hours waiting for the tide, we decided to haul anchor and start using the boat again. If you look really closely at the chain on the Gypsy, see how the Gypsy is catching it and the chain is flicking up forward of where it needs to be and it's not dropping into the anchor hold? We didn't realise it, but this is going to cause a problem soon.
Jesus! Got a wee bit of a coil up here.
After a bit of faffing around, the anchor was finally up and locked away on the bow, so we started heading back towards the marina. But before we could reverse Brupeg back into the marina, we needed to learn how to reverse Brupeg back into the marina. So we went into the main shipping channel and started to learn the prop walk and the reversing characteristics of Brupeg. Here's an example of this. Brupeg heading forward and then into reverse, and we're heading, and you can see the boat has got a bit of a curve on its path. It's gently heading off to one direction. That's what we had to get our head around. So to orientate you, this is the area in the yard we rebuilt Brupeg, and this is the area that we launched Brupeg, and right beside, that's our berth. So to see trials, we started off from this berth here, and then we headed out. Let me see if I can bring up our route. We went out to an anchoring area, so this is where we went. Out to the main channel, we turned right, and then we headed towards the entrance of the harbour, but we actually did a U-turn and came back and anchored in this one spot, and that was so that we could learn the boat, figure out if we were using oil, do we need to do anything differently with the machinery before we actually go and put any sort of miles under the keel. We had to get our head around, was the boat okay? It was. We had lunch, we waited for the tide to come in, and then we thought, okay, let's go down the other end to the ship turning area. So this yellow path here, if I just zoom out a wee bit, I might be able to show you a bit better. So this area here is a big wharf for bulk carriers, and it's connected to these great big sheds. These are sugar export sheds. So they export raw sugar onto this wharf, onto bulk carriers, and they get sent around the world. This area here is a big turning bay for those bulk carriers. So you can see here, the path in yellow is basically a bunch of forward, back. This was driving forward and then heading in reverse, driving forward and heading in reverse, as you just saw in that last clip. Once we got our head around the prop walk and how much the boat drifted to one side in reverse, we were feeling reasonably confident that we could get the boat back into the berth, and we thought this was what we were going to do before we set off. So we drive in on this red line, following the bow following that line, and then we spin around and do a U-turn right at the end and back into the berth. We didn't have enough steering for that, so this is what we actually did. Let me just bring this up and get rid of some of these other... There we go, clear those guys off and we can see a bit better. So this yellow line, we came in from the channel, we came in and did a dead stop out here in front of the marina, and then reversed all the way in because we had a fair idea that we'd be able to keep a reasonably straight line doing so. And we were able to do that, and that's how we got Brupeg back into the berth. So the obvious question is, how do you actually steer Brupeg when you're in reverse? You just saw the clip of us in the turning bay area for the ships, where we practically had no steering. When the boat's in reverse, it wants to drift off to one side. Now that was happening whilst the rudder was hard lock onto the starboard side. So we were drifting ever so slightly around to port whilst the rudder was locked hard over to the starboard. So we had no ability to be able to pick and choose which side we're going when we're reversing. The way that we were able to steer the boat in reverse when we came back into the berth was, again, rudder hard over to starboard. There's nothing else you can do. You put the rudder hard over to starboard and you start backing back, knowing that you're going to start spinning off to the port side of the boat. But then when you want to re-straighten the boat up, you spin the rudder hard over to the port side, give it a burst in forward propulsion, and then flick it back into neutral, flip the rudder over to the starboard side and put it back in reverse. And what that does is it kind of crabs the boat all the way back in like this. So you can get a modicum of steering by doing a bit of a weird way of like pulsing the boat in forward as you're going backwards. I know that sounds really bizarre, but that's how we steer Brupeg when we're going backwards. If we put a bow thruster in the boat, it would be a totally different situation, but we're able to steer Brupeg without the need of a bow thruster at the moment. And if we put a bow thruster in, it's probably about $20,000 to $25,000. So for us, it's just not even going to happen, you know, for the indefinite future. For now, we just have to get really awesome, and every single person on the crew has to get really awesome at steering Brupeg in reverse. You might also be wondering why there's no footage of us backing Brupeg back into the dock. It's because every single camera on the boat went flat, ran out of batteries right as we were starting to head in, and we didn't know about that until after we got in. The whole crew was pushing really hard to get Brupeg into the water, but then also out into the river itself. And the reason being is because Birk was heading off, he's heading back to Germany. He's now gone, so it's just Jess and myself on the boat at the moment. Birk's coming back. We're planning for a couple of months. He'll be back in Germany, and then he comes back here. So it's been awesome having Birk with us. He's been with us for almost a year, just incredibly tireless. He just worked his butt off the whole time he was here, and he was a really integral part of making the project work. So I just want to say an absolute heartfelt thanks from Jess and myself. He was amazing. Awesome to meet him. He's such a cool dude, and we can't wait to have him back. Thanks so much, Birk. Some of the things that we learnt whilst we were out. We need a deck wash up the front. Obviously it's clean now. It really wasn't when we set off. We're going to be upgrading our anchor roller. This is a temporary anchor roller down here, just a little, it's actually a trailer roller. So you can see that there, just a little 4-inch wide roller. It works for now, but it needs to be upgraded, and we have a plan. This is what we're looking at building. This was a design that I came up with, and Daniel in the States has built it out of acetal, or sometimes known as Delrin. It's a hard plastic. It's a 2-piece roller, it bolts together. It has 4 roller bearings and 4 oil seals in it, and it will be grease filled. Thank you so much for making this possible, Daniel. It's incredible. We also need to add on the chain gypsy a little stainless sort of, I call it the shark fin. It's basically a fin that comes off the deck here and comes straight up. And what that does is, as you saw earlier when we were pulling this chain up, this chain would get hooked as it goes around. It would get hooked and then bind up and cause a big ball up. We need to create the shark fin thing so that we can stop that happening. I also need to clean this oil leak off. I thought that was a crack that we fixed years ago that had re-emerged, but I'm pretty sure I just overfilled it and it's coming out this bung here. So I just need to give that whole thing a really good clean off so that we can make sure it is just an overfill. But that winch was awesome. When we were pulling the anchor up, it didn't even blink. That thing is just a powerhouse. There's a bucket load still to do on Brupeg to get her independent of the marina. So the next step for us is aiming to get out on anchor so that we can start getting more independent on the boat. That includes getting things like our genset going. The main exhaust stack needs to be extended. We also need to build the exhaust for the genset to come out in the same area. We need a good tidy up, but we also need to finish off these windows. Look, that bit of plywood just ain't gonna do. We need 2 reversing cameras, one situated up here to see the back end of the roof, and the other one situated here to see the back end of the rear deck. We need to test the stabilizers out, and Jess and I need to jump in this room and give it a blooming good clean out so we can carry on with the rest of the work. So we look forward to seeing you next week.
Summer sky, if you're smart, could kill or die. And now it starts to rain, so let's enjoy it. I can't believe that this is real.
This sea trial would not have been possible without Duncan Campbell. This man is amazing. Thank you so much for your tireless efforts, your expertise, and most of all, your friendship throughout this whole project, Dunk.